So, Michelle, tell me, what is the most rewarding part of what you do for the Winder Housing Authority?
The most rewarding part would be to see families acquire their own home. Giving them the keys to their own home, it just fills my heart with joy to see that happen.
The National Association of Housing and Redevelopment Officials honored Winder Housing Authority in 2018 the Award of Excellence in Program Innovation, Community Revitalization for the Wimberly Center. Tell me about that. Like, what was that like?
It felt wonderful. We actually flew to Denver, Colorado to receive. We have had 5 different municipalities come in and tour the center and want to replicate what we're doing at the Wimberly Center in their communities.
What's the future hold for the Wimberly Center?
So the future would be
Welcome back to another episode of Plugged In, a City of Winder podcast. I'm Katie Strickland, your host, and today we get to dive into the community. Executive Director for the Winder Housing Authority and the Wimberly Center here in Winder, Michelle Yawn joins us to give us all the information about the good things going on with Winder Housing and the Wimberly Center. You're with the Housing Authority, so you came to Winder for this job. So tell me about this, Michelle. You came to Winder from Florida. You accepted this executive director position with the Winder Housing Authority, and now you are the executive director of the Housing Authority, but you also oversee the Wimberly Center, which has been something that has come to fruition during your tenure. So kind of walk me through that. Like, you made the decision to come to Winder and then the catalyst to get where we are today.
So I had been with the Housing Authority in Lakeland, Florida for about 18 years and had been director of operations probably for the last 10 years and was just looking to relocate to an area closer to the mountains, closer to waterfalls and hiking and all those things that my husband and I love to do. And so I had a friend who was in a consulting firm that heard about the opening in Winder. So we flew up and I interviewed, and it was a much smaller housing authority than what I was used to. And I don't know, there was an immediate connection. When I interviewed with my chair and vice chair at that time, sitting around the table with them, I could just feel the sense of community and kindness. And I thought, I think this is where I need to be. And so I accepted the job right that day. They offered me the job and I accepted it. And my husband thought that I had totally lost my mind.
I'm sure.
Because that was a huge decision for me and my family. But I've never looked back. And I love Barrow County. I love what it stands for. And I love the location. So you come here, you get this job, and you're just guns blazing, right? So you're like on the trail. You see the problems, right? You probably see the challenges. We won't call them problems. We'll call them challenges, right? So you see the challenges. What was your first, I guess, the catalyst thought of how do we help people that are living in these properties get to a point to, I guess the ultimate goal is home ownership, right? Correct.
And becoming self-sufficient, I think is the words that you've been using, self-sufficiency. So talk to me about how, the catalyst for that idea and really the birth of the Wimberly Center. Tell me about that.
So HUD has a program, and it has probably had for 30 years, the Family Self-Sufficiency Program. And when we were public housing, when I was in Lakeland, and then, of course, when I got to Winder, we started an FSS program. And that program is a 5-year program to help people move towards self-sufficiency, homeownership. For most. Some families don't want a home, and they're happy right where they are, getting a better job and just, moving on to a different type of housing other than homeownership. So we started that program in 2011. I came in 2009. So we started FSS about 2011, and we had 25 families that were in that program. And so we had families that were going all over the county receiving services that they needed, whether it was Lanier Technical College to get their education. They had to go across town to put their kids in after-school program for the Boys and Girls Club. Habitat for Humanities was across town. Just all these service providers, they were having to run all over. So we decided when the Winderberry Middle School became available that it would be nice to have a one-stop shop. And instead of these services being all over town, have it, one place, one-stop shop for our residents so that they can have the services that they need. And so that's really what birthed the Wimberly Center. The center started out, the concept name was the Glenwood Center for Community Development. And so right about the time, actually the day that we were closing on that real estate deal, they were laying Robert Wimberly to rest.
And he was the former principal of the school when it was the Glenwood School, correct?
Right. And he was on the Housing Authority board for about 12 years. So our chairman of the board at that time, Bruce Brazelton, made the announcement. I was at the closing table. Bruce was at the funeral, and he made the announcement that day that we were going to name the building after Robert Wimberly. So there was not a dry eye in the room when he made that announcement. And so we've just never looked back. We bought the school. We started off, working towards getting the building through a donation. That didn't work out. At that time, I'll just say it didn't work out. It was appraised at $5 million. We wound up paying $1 million for it. So we got a good deal.
That's amazing that all of that came to fruition the way that it did. And I know Winder played somewhat of a part in that. Tell me a little bit about our former mayor, Mayor Maynard, worked with you on a CDBG grant, I believe.
He did. Absolutely. And so we, the Housing Authority put in some money to do the renovations, but the City of Winder was kind enough to apply for a CDBG grant. We got, I believe it was $500,000 under Mayor Maynard's leadership, and we're able to use that money to start to transform the center. And it's just been a work in progress. We started with that. I think Housing Authority put in about $1 million. You guys put in $500,000, and then we've just that got the inside renovated. And then we had probably $200,000 donated from other organizations to help with some of the other offices being transformed.
So I know you have partners in the Wimberly Center. So you have, like you said, you have Adventure Bags, right? You have Habitat for Humanity. You have Barrow Literacy. You have, the list goes on and on of these really amazing service providers that are there. So I like how you said it. It's the one-stop shop for support, really.
Right.
Are you vacant? Do you have spots for other folks, or how's life at the Wimberly Center right now?
Well, we are 100% occupied. We have stayed 100% occupied for the past, probably 7 years. We've had some turnover, and every time we have a partner move out, we look at what we're missing and try to figure out where's the gap in services, and then invite others to come in and be a part of what we're doing there. Our latest tenant would be Social Empowerment Center. So we were looking at, what services we need to make the circle complete. And one of the things that we were missing was mental health counseling. And so we now have Social Empowerment Center in the building. They work very closely with the Barrow County school system and also with DFACS. And just recently, we have invited them to start partnering with the Housing Authority to provide eviction prevention services. So that's just started. That's like a month old, and we'll see how that goes.
So tell me, it's been probably not a straight line, right, to get where you are. Like, I'm sure there have been days where you're in the thick of making things happen and making things come to fruition. Tell me about some of the challenges maybe that you've had, and how you've overcome those challenges you said you came in 2009, here we are at 2024. Before that, you had a tenure in Florida. So maybe just, bestow some leadership on us about the challenges you faced and how you've come out of those challenges.
I guess the best answer would be partnerships. We have, every time we've had a challenge, faced a challenge, we have called on partners in the community to help us in whatever it is we need. And that's one thing that I love about Barrow County is that you have so many nonprofits that work together instead of against each other. So when there's a need, everyone pulls together. And so that's how we've overcome the challenges, whether it was funding, if there was a wing of the building that we didn't have funding to make those renovations, we had partners that would come together and volunteer their time. We had a college, I think it was the University of Illinois, that came in and did some volunteer activities when we first got into the building. I mean, these folks, we didn't know them from Adam, but they saw the need and made the connection and came in with a bus filled with students and helped scrub floors and paint walls or do whatever needed to be done. So, collaboration and partnerships are the way that we've made it through any struggles that we've had.
Well, and I was looking through my notes. Y'all won an award. The National Association of Housing and Redevelopment Officials honored Winder Housing Authority in 2018 the Award of Excellence in Program Innovation, Community Revitalization for the Wimberly Center. So, absolutely. I mean, you're an award winner here in the city of Winder, and that's, I mean, tell me about that. Like, what was that like, winning that award and being publicly praised for the work that you're doing?
It felt wonderful. We actually went to, I believe that award, we flew to Denver, Colorado to receive. And I was very proud to have two of my board of directors with me at that time. And just, to be able to speak about what we were doing here in Winder. It was, just gratifying for the folks to come up and want to know more about it. And actually, when we got back to Winder, we have had probably 5 different municipalities come in and tour the center and want to replicate what we're doing at the Wimberly Center in their communities. However, we know that funding is always a challenge. So we were fortunate that we had reserves and had the funding to get it started, and a great partnership with the city of Winder to apply for the grant. Not every community has that. So, it was just very rewarding to receive that award, and it's probably about time for another award.
I think so. I mean, just looking at what you have to offer for folks that are looking for that self-sufficiency, trying to put myself in shoes that way and looking to see if I didn't know how to read, if I didn't have my GED, if I had young children that needed to be kept so that I could work, if I needed to rely on a community. It's a no-brainer. Why would you not trust people at the Wimberly Center? Why would you not just go there and say, hey, I need one of you. I need one of you. I need you to help me here. I mean, it's just, you could go, it's a one-stop shop to fill those gaps in the services. So, it's very impressive to me. And there's also another part of the Wimberly Center where there's an amphitheater so that you could have events there. There's a kitchen there. So tell me about that side of the Wimberly Center as well.
I would love to, Katie. So we have currently an outdoor pavilion that is probably 2 years old, and we use that for a lot of different activities. We have a courtyard that is full of pollinator plants that is absolutely gorgeous. We've had a couple of events there, not as common to rent that space as we would like, but hopefully today's presentation will help solve that problem. We have the banquet hall that we rent out quite often, a lot of weddings, a lot of class reunions that come to us to lease the banquet hall. And then we have a demonstration kitchen. So the Housing Authority was a 2016 recipient of the Local Foods, Local Places program. And so City of Winder was awarded that recognition. And through that, we had, I believe it was 5 or 6 federal and state agencies that came in and helped us decide what to do with the cafeteria and the old library. So the library we converted into a demonstration kitchen.
And it's beautiful. I mean, if no one's ever visited this, here's your invitation. Go visit the Wimberly Center's demo kitchen, because it is absolutely beautiful. And I've gone to some of the events that you have there, and I don't love cooking, but it makes me want to love cooking.
And I get to smell that all week long, because there's always something either going on in the demonstration kitchen, or the other thing that we did in the old cafeteria is converted it into a shared kitchen. So we are approved through the Georgia Department of Agriculture, and we started out with 2 businesses making their products in the kitchen. We now have 28 businesses, small businesses that come in and make their products.
Yeah, so you're like a commissary kitchen, I guess?
Right.
Yeah, so I had no idea that this was a thing until I got here and was working really closely with our events. So you can't just set up something and cook for people. You have to be very careful, because foodborne illness is just a whole nother thing, right?
Exactly.
So that's interesting that's a great little business venture, right? The business acumen has just really started there. So
well, and being involved with the Chamber of Commerce, I was chairman of the board and very involved in the chamber, and just hearing the needs of the small businesses in the community, this was kind of a win-win. And so now these businesses that are making their products in our kitchen now go to the farmer's market, and they are not only doing that, but they're starting to teach classes in the demonstration kitchen. So it's just, I don't know, it's like a little economic engine.
It is. It's like it feeds itself, right? You get that, you get a system put in place. And I always say we fall to our systems, right? When everything else fails, whatever system you have in place needs to be sustainable so that you can pick it back up over and over again, which it sounds like that's really what you've created with the relationship between the Winder Housing Authority, the folks that live there, and then the folks that can also benefit from all of the services at Wimberly Center. Was that the grand plan? Tell me it just happened by happy accident, no?
Well, the local foods, local places was kind of an afterthought. But all of the other services that we have in the building was all part of the original plan. I'm sorry. One thing that I have not talked about that I think I would like to maybe toot our horn about.
Educate us.
Is the number of families that have purchased their own homes.
Yeah, so tell me about that. So I know a lot of this had to do with the self-sufficiency, getting families to agree and decide that we want to become homeowners. So talk to me about that.
So they made it, most of the families that purchased their own homes did go through the FSS program, and I believe we've had 10 in the past 10 years that have purchased their own home. I believe 3 or 4 of those purchased Habitat homes. So they
worked on it themselves, and they had to raise funds, and they were in the granular day-to-day of that home becoming a home.
Yep. So that's been very rewarding. And we have got families that were, on the path to homeownership, and then the economy went crazy. So we connected them with lenders. I've got 2 that we connected with lenders, and the only thing that they could put them into at that time was a mobile home. So they came back to me and said, Michelle, I'm gonna stay where I'm at until I can afford to buy my own home. So that's when we applied for the CHIP grant in 2022. And we were successfully awarded that grant. So we got $600,000, and that was made possible through the City of Winder's support as well. But that $600,000 will be used to build 7 kind of tiny homes.
Yeah, I think this is the coolest thing. Talk to me about that. So there'll be tiny homes, and the goal there is so that this would be like the starter home that they could actually own.
Absolutely.
So then after they've owned that one and they've built some equity, then tell me. I need to stop talking. I get excited about it, Michelle, because I think it's such a wonderful thing that you're doing. So tell me about these kind of tiny homes that you're doing, cottages.
They're cottages. So they're called the cottages on Maynard, and they're right behind First American Bank and Trust. They will be sold to 7 lucky homeowners that have income at or below 80% of the area median income. So for a single person, that would be income of no more than $60,000. And we are hoping to keep the price at or about $200,000. And so we have a couple of residents that we know are ready to go. And then we will reach out to others in the community to have that same homeownership opportunity.
And then once they own that becomes the home, their first home, and
Right.
they can sell that home, and then what they make off of that home, they can then go buy their own home, a bigger home or a different home in a different area. Like it gives them, I always say, it gives them options, right? Options.
Right. Well, I believe there is a 15-year limit on, they have to stay in the home, I believe, 15 years.
Okay. So it is truly like a place that they would take care of, and it would be their home. It
Yes.
would be where they live.
It will be their first home, and we will help them, or probably the state of Georgia Dream Program will help them with down payment assistance.
With the down payment, okay.
As well as USDA. There's so many other programs out there. But the whole reason that we're building homes, we didn't start out building homes.
I was going to say, this is a big deal. Y'all are building these homes. You're constructing these things. So that's a whole nother toolbox, literal toolbox and skill box, right? To figure out construction schedules. And I mean, I'm sure you've been over here with planning and zoning many a days.
Many months.
So hope everything's going well there,
Yes.
and that everything's moving forward. Have you started turning dirt yet? Are there
Not
things?
yet.
Not yet.
We're probably 60 days from turning dirt.
That's exciting.
Yes, so we're really excited to see that come to fruition. It's going to be absolutely beautiful. With me being a master gardener, landscaping is very important to me. So all the homes will face inward to a courtyard. There will be very lush landscaping. And the housing authority will be the HOA manager for, well, I guess the 15 years.
Okay.
And yeah, so we're really excited about it. It's going to be absolutely beautiful. It's walkable to Victor Lord Park. It's walkable to downtown. It's in the perfect location. Got a bank right there, grocery stores. So we're really excited.
That's going to be a huge addition to the community. I can't wait to see that courtyard and the lush green. I hope you can invite me over just to take a peek before families actually move in, because that would be creepy if I'm just kind of strolling down somebody's neighborhood and I don't live there. But I think it's one of those things where folks who eventually will be there, I always think it's funny to say, I'm late getting home. Like you want to get home because it's an oasis where you can, relax and be with your family. And I mean, that's the goal, right? The goal is to build this community, and your mission statement. I mean, the mission statement of the Winder Housing Authority is to promote adequate and affordable housing, economic opportunity, and an enhanced living environment for our community. So that's it, right? Creating a space with, nice homes for people to come home to and enjoy their life.
Absolutely. And so we currently have 20 to 25 families that are paying over market rent. So they get no subsidy, but there is not really a lot of other affordable housing right now that they can graduate into. So through the partnership that we've had with a private developer, we have built the Exchange, we've built Wimberly Manor, and now we are close to completing Sandpiper Terrace. So that will create an opportunity for some of those families that are paying full contract rent to move on. Mm-hmm. And then open up the door for others on our waiting list to move in.
So yeah, you said Sandpiper Terrace,
Sandpiper
Terrace,
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got Fort Yargo Apartments, Dunaway Massey Homes at Brazelton, Hard Degree Terrace, Capitol Homes, Glenwood Terrace, Oakwood Homes, Smith Heights Apartments, and Dunaway Massey, and that's in Statham, correct?
That's right.
So I mean, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 9. That's 9 different communities that you're supporting, correct? And that you're trying to keep everybody in a place and taken care of and overseen. I mean, how do you do that? How do you do it?
A lot of prayer.
I'm in touch with that.
I have a wonderful staff, and I also have a wonderful board of directors that supports everything that we do. I could not do it without them. So I have the most dedicated team, and we work the magic.
So along that same, vein, like the leadership that you must have and the leadership that you probably have garnered through hard work and through, having to try again. Right. What is the mantra or, one of your staple statements that you say to yourself when you could, take the low road and be very negative or discouraged about something? What summarizes your leadership, your leadership mantra or your leadership way?
That's a good question. I would say just because I believe in the mission of what we're doing with the Housing Authority, and I believe that there is always an opportunity for someone to move up and out. I don't accept no for an answer. I mean, there's always a way for us to work around and make it happen. So, yeah, that's...
No, I think that's a good thing to say. I mean, I've heard many leaders say that no just can't be the answer. There's got to be a way. There's got to be a way, especially when you believe that you're called to do what you're doing. And I can absolutely tell that you feel very called in the position that you're in right now and to do what you're doing. And I would be silly not to mention that the Wimberly Center also has a mission. So just to get that out there, impacting the community through the collaboration of resources to achieve family self-sufficiency. So I think that alone is like a perfect mission statement because it's what you're doing. It's what you're doing there at the Wimberly Center. And then, like you said, these little spinoffs and the event spaces that you can rent, those have just kind of been the icing on the cake that have ended up happening to you.
Right.
So I think that, keep doing what you're doing. I don't know if encouragement from little old me would help you, but
Thank you, Katie.
keep doing what you're doing, Michelle. And if there's anything, on this side of the city that we can partner with or help you with, I applaud your efforts. I applaud you working inside this community and working for Barrow County, working with the city of Winder, working through us with giving us the benefit of the doubt and letting us help where we can help, and then also taking the lead, because that's really what had to happen. And I like hearing that. Don't take no for an answer.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna write that down in my notebook and reflect on that later.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me to your show.
Anytime. Thanks so much for joining us on Plugged In, the City of Winder's new podcast. We appreciate so much Michelle Yawn joining us today. Make sure that you check out the Wimberly Center and check out the Winder Housing Authority for all the great things that she's doing and all of the new things that's happening with the communities that she represents. We really appreciate your time. Please share this with a friend and stay locked on the City of Winder's Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and always our city events on thecityofwinder.com/events.